We are live. This is the market update. I am your host, Bill Noble. If you need a roadmap in crypto as Bitcoin approaches 100K, stay with us. Today, I'm going to take you through the news, the hype. Will Bitcoin take out 100? And more importantly, will the rest of the market go with it? Right? I think it's time, and the price action is telling you that all of Web3 is about to wake up, right? Crypto is like, I don't know, it's like a fertile field where all the seeds have been planted over the last 4 years. And this market is just going to start sprouting up as Bitcoin grinds towards 100 and then eventually goes through, the aspects of crypto, the sectors in crypto that can go up here, especially if ETH takes off, as I've been saying, is breathtaking. And the upside in this market is not fully understood. Keep in mind, you're listening to this, Bitcoin's trading well. You're like, well, Bill, I knew that. Did you? I mean, yesterday they were selling this market, and I saw a comment on one of my streams where someone said, altcoins only go down. Right? There are people here who have not gotten any gratification so far. This rally, in many ways, has not even started. If you want to see the news and the charts that you need to get involved, stay right here. Okay. We have Justin and Alexandra first on the stream. Welcome. Right. Justin said, I couldn't fall back asleep last night when I saw what this market was going to do. All right. Yes, I can take a look at Bitcoin on Luxalgo. I have that all queued up. SG is here. Anise, CB, Starlight, TA on Arkham. Don't let me forget. I will go through all the Kaizen coins in the live TA section. Tanya, Dills, welcome. Warmon, all the OGs, Encrypt, Everflow, CB, right? Ski I have queued up as well. A very good morning from Zav, right? Riyadh, Kamina, welcome. Malik, Precious Exotine, welcome. Justin, okay, news, let's go. The state of California could not pay $18 billion in debt. So I like to post some reminders as to why we're here. Like, why are we here? Why is Bitcoin at 100K? Right? It's not at 100K because it's cool, although it certainly is these days. There's no top in bottom because there's no bottom in fiat, right? We got a debt problem in the fiat world that the next administration is going to have to grow their way out of. And I keep saying this and saying it and saying it. Because, I said it for 8 months, get involved. And this is the same thing. Now, we don't have to start out every day with negativity. That's not the point. The point is, why are we here? Why do we need Web3, right? Why is America going to build it? Because you have stuff like this, the damage, the insanity that's occurred in this country, probably under the last 8 to 10 years, we can spread out that blame a little bit. And even before that, the insanity is going to catch up and people need something new, right? So this is all fun and this is all, this is just a big party right now. But let's face it, when you head into next year, there are going to be some very serious moments. And if you think about what's going on now, like the fun part of this, the pump.fun part is between now and February. Like this is when you get busy. And any of this stuff, like I've missed out, don't do it, right? When it's down, everyone's like, I can't buy it because it's down. When it's up, everyone says they can't buy it when it was up. I got a great idea. Just get involved. Okay, Elon last night learned that the head of Amazon was telling everybody that the election outcome was going to be different and that they should liquidate Tesla. Well, You know what I'm saying? Some people don't make the right call. You know what I'm saying? I make the wrong call sometimes, but people have underestimated what's going to happen here. People have underestimated that they were going to get in, and people are underestimating what they do when they're going to get in. The United States has one of the highest per capita expenditures for healthcare, okay, with a low life expectancy. You know, again, the guy who originally invented the Bitcoin strategy, RFKJ, whose mere existed was, I don't know, shut off at every social media company. Not only is he going to be running healthcare or, health and human services, but he's also very influential inside the administration and is on the traveling world tour with the team and is a huge Bitcoin guy. And I continue to believe that they're going to goose the Bitcoin ecosystem, right? Meaning they're going to do the strategic Bitcoin reserve, okay, as a way to move Web3, as a way to just take this whole ecosystem and create a wealth effect. So even if you wind up in like infrastructure boomer coins, you can make money. This meme coin thing has a new story every day. We're going to cover some of them. The crowd and the revolution that's going on, I don't see it stopping. This is a chart of Target's stock price from yesterday. Even after reducing prices on thousands of items, the company just posted its largest earnings miss in 2 years. Okay, so, we may take a look at the Target stock price if we have time, but do we really have to? Right? Inflation has taken its toll. Retail needs rate cuts and a wealth effect, right? People need to be able to put $200 in Ethereum or whatever, Solana. They're probably going to gravitate towards the meme coin casino, but people who shop at Target are wrecked. And the Fed is going to have to cut rates in response to this. Now, you may have people in a better mood because, the national election changed the idea and that, changed the ideas, and the optimism. But, no one was shopping at Target before the election. So unless they've all of a sudden been, they can turn their optimism into money, people may have try to have a Merry Christmas. It may not be as glum as you might think, but this is a huge, huge earnings miss, right? And this has to bring in the Fed at some point, or it has to bring in the federal government with a wealth engine, right? Cut spending, get money in the hands of the people, get something growing, get job creation. I mean, this is only the beginning. This is not lost on people. Meanwhile, El Salvador's Bitcoin position is now worth, $500 million. You know what I'm saying? The guys who are on this early look like geniuses. Okay. Somebody making a grandiose Twitter post about a 70 basis point drop in Bitcoin dominance. Again, Bitcoin is now the rising tide that's going to lift all boats as it approaches 100. Congress provided $516 billion to programs whose authorizations previously expired under federal law. Nearly $320 billion of that $516 billion expired more than a decade ago. They say they can't cut spending. They say they can't cut enough to be meaningful, but they can cut enough to send a message, right? And they can try to return as much of this money to the American people or get it invested in something that actually creates jobs, right? Obviously, getting the crypto ecosystem going is one thing. Here's another statistic that came from RFKJ. He says for every $1 million we spent on defense, we created 2 jobs. If you spent $1 million on, say, like childcare or the mother's well-being, you created 18 jobs. The moral of these tweets is that you think these guys are kidding around. They're not. They're absolutely not. I know I say it on every stream. They're going to have a crypto administrative person. I'm less excited about that than you might think, because that person's going to do what the crypto lobby wants. They're going to let the centralized exchanges dictate everything. So, I mean, that's not perfect, but the fact that they want to goose the ecosystem is important. And the fact that they want to reduce government spending, right, it is a hallmark of the 1980s, which led to an effectively explosion on Wall Street. Okay. Ron Paul is coming back. This guy is all the things that they're saying now. This guy said his whole life, and he toiled in obscurity. Like obscurity, right? I mean, it inspires me because, like, I'm working, trying to get people's attention. And this guy just had all these ideas that, no one listened to, right? 1913 is when they started both the Fed and the income tax. The income tax made everyone's earnings the property of the government. What the government allows the people to keep is the relentlessly stolen by the Fed's inflation. So, in other words, big changes are coming, right? They took your money and then they printed and devalued the rest of it. Pretty interesting if you ask me. Okay, so Sui Network, a setback for the Solana killer. Sui went down with a 2-hour outage. The thing about outages and hacks and things like that, not to make excuses for people, but they help make the network stronger. In other words, this kind of thing can't happen again. If they're not participating in this rally today, they're going to have to get their act together. ETH has been through this. Solana's been through this, right? Network outages are embarrassing. And when they happen, they can't happen again. Okay, Bitcoin marches towards 100 on optimism on, people are like saying this is like election connected, right? Reuters and all these news agencies want to set this up as, Bitcoin becomes somehow a dirty word because it's associated with, politicians that they don't like. Simple fact of the matter is, yes, Bitcoin is moving because of the idea of the strategic Bitcoin reserve, but Bitcoin was going to do this anyway because Bitcoin is a revolution. In other words, why are you here? Like when the market's up today, so everyone's like, well, of course I'm here. I'm here to make a whole bunch of money. But what about yesterday? Yesterday I'm like, nonstop bull posting into the decline, right? It's harder to get people's attention when it's going down. Right now, today, everyone's going to be looking for content now that everything's up 10%, which is fine, right? Hey, we want to bring people in any way we can. But please don't think that this is just about one guy, one idea, one thing. Also, the market's been giving you more than ample opportunity to get in. Now, if this thing takes out 105 and Michael Saylor gets on the tape and starts bull posting it, and he's on Lex Friedman, and if he winds up on the 6 o'clock news, or God forbid, he has a meeting with Trump and Elon or whatever, and they start bringing him into the circle, that's next, because he's doing the Lex Friedman podcast, right? He's making the rounds. He's not just going to be on CNBC anymore. That's not good enough for him, right? This could become a phenomenon, right? That's a cultural phenomenon. In other words, what happens if Bitcoin becomes a meme for hard money? What happens? You know what I'm saying? Like, realistically speaking, is there a big difference between 100K and 120K if Bitcoin is a meme for hard money? Do you realize Charles Schwab, 3 months ago, had MicroStrategy's stock rated a D on an A through F scale, like in school? Right, that's because it was too risky, because it's basically a Bitcoin hedge fund, blah, blah, blah. And people do nothing but buy the stock, and the meme coin could be next. The meme coin could be next, right? The stock is worth $100 billion, and all crypto equities can go with it. In other words, I'm trying to paint a picture of this only beginning, right? The election, it hasn't even been a month since the election. We waited 8 months for a consolidation, and here we are, and undoubtedly, someone's going to start talking about taking profits in front of 100K. You take profits when it looks like a breathtaking amount of money to you, like literally you go, oh my God, or you have bills to pay. You don't get off the train for the sake of getting off the train. You just don't. Okay. Bitwise registers for a Solana ETF. Okay. So I'm not an expert on how Solana works, but I suspect that the reason Solana is not trading at some outlandish price at $500 is that Solana validators, who basically provide you with all this free trading, right, get paid somehow in Solana and then turn around and sell the Solana in the market. That's just a theory, right? Solana should be a lot higher given the activity on the network. So someone is selling it. Let's put it that way. Well, what happens if you have an ETF that starts hoovering up all the Solana? I mean, that and the idea of an XRP ETF is breathtaking as to what could happen. I mean, they thought the Solana ETF was a given back in April because according to the big players, the street can really only handle 3 ETFs at a time. I suspect that's going to be revised, but the idea of a Solana ETF, I don't know. They approved ETH, they approved Bitcoin. How long is it going to be before Kathy Wood and BlackRock pick up the phone and say, get this Solana ETF moving, especially when they're applying for it? I mean, they approved the ETH ETF out of nowhere in April at consensus. I was like, oh my God, it's going to the moon. And then the market ran out of gas. Right? So I don't know if this is going to be the same thing where they're going to release the Solana ETF in February after this thing goes crazy, but I don't think a Solana ETF is priced into the value of Solana at all. Just in, spot Bitcoin ETF surpasses $100 billion in assets. Folks, the amount of money that has to come into this ecosystem from tech stocks, if every tech stock, every tech fund started adding Bitcoin or MicroStrategy, or if the Magnificent Seven became the Magnificent Eight and the Bitcoin ETF was the eighth magnificent stock. You haven't even seen real upside in that yet because, again, everyone's talking about the amount of assets under management. What we haven't talked about is a Santa rally in that ETF. Now, I have been talking about some of these things. I will continue to talk about these things because I don't think a lot of people are. I mean, obviously, I can't watch all of YouTube all the time, but who is telling you these things about what Legacy is going to do and how powerful they are? I mean, this is going to be a vicious cycle, and they're coming after Ethereum next. I mean, they made it so hard to even look at Ethereum over the last 2 days, right? Or the last week or the last month, right? To think that nothing's going to get built on Ethereum. I mean, I don't know, man. I don't know. There is more to the world than just meme coin trading, even though there are some things going on in meme coins that, are so funny they've gotten my attention, right? Solana sees 311 million in stablecoin inflows over the last 24 hours, the largest inflows of all time. So DeFi, hedge funds, right? $6.9 billion comes into hedge funds. Where does that money go? Well, they got to get it on chain. They got to get it on chain and they got to start buying stuff. What are they going to buy? I don't know. Everything. Everything, right? Absolutely everything. They're going to buy anything that's moving, anything that they can get liquidity in, right? Which is probably the big memes. And then they're probably going into the tech part of crypto, anything that's hot. Anything that's hot, anything that's moved, anything that has liquidity, anything that can make an announcement. And I swear to God, if there are crypto projects out there or there's BlackRock with real world assets, I mean, we haven't even begun what I would call the announcement phase. If you're a project and if you have half a brain, you're going to go out and try to make alliances and as many announcements as possible. And again, they're probably caught flat-footed because, even like the Jeff Bezoses of the world were thinking that the election might have had a different outcome. Now everyone's like, oh my God, this is really happening. So we haven't seen anybody yet. I mean, I know you've been here and I've been here and Brian's been here and a whole bunch of people who have been here, a whole bunch of people who have been suffering from 8 months, but everybody else is just like, oh my God, this is happening. Hey, look at this. Look at this on Solana. It's like, in some ways, big players just got the Solana. We're like, oh, Solana, old news. We've been here. Don't call it a comeback. We've been here for months. Now they're just getting here. There's their footprint. And there's way more, 311 million. Ha! We're talking about tens or hundreds of billions. Oh, look. The Chinese are back. So nice of these guys to send all the Bitcoin miners to the great state of Texas, where I'm from. But a Chinese court just ruled that, oh, wait, crypto ownership is okay. I mean, we didn't want any Bitcoin at $16,000 a coin, but at $97,000, we love it now. Looks much better. The tech gets better as the market goes up. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is like the space race, right? Like, Donald Trump's got the miners in Texas. He's got the ultimate influencer in Michael Saylor. He's got Bobby Kennedy and Charles Hoskins, and he is going to absolutely run these guys out of Dodge. He's like, no, they're not going to relinquish the crypto advantage to anybody. Now, yes, if these guys get going, they got a lot of people. They can do a lot of innovation too. So don't discount what this means, right? This is stimulus. Crypto is stimulus. They got a 25% youth unemployment rate. Little word later on what young people are doing with this. Not exactly the most constructive example. But if you have 25% of young people in China unemployed, he's going to get them on pump.fun. Or he's going to get them in Bitcoin, right? Not to mention the fact that the Chinese population loves to gamble. When you see a rally in like the domestic Chinese stock market, like I was in one of them with Goldman, oh my God, it's unbelievable. They love to play. They're going to open this up, if nothing else, as a distraction. In 2018, when Bitcoin was going down, everyone was like, oh my God, the Chinese are going to make it illegal. Pfft, massive dump. Oh my God, China is going to shut down the miners. Pfft, massive dump. Right. They pulled the plug, on these guys because they were using cheap power that could have gone somewhere else. They do have cheap power over there. What happens if they get involved in this? It's like I said, like the space race, like the Apollo program with like astronauts. Everybody was an astronaut last cycle. Now you have actual astronaut behavior. So the Chinese getting involved, I mean, this could be a global phenomenon. Satoshi Nakamoto is now the 18th richest person in the world. Some intelligence service or whoever created it. It's kind of funny. It's also funny that Satoshi just flipped, I don't know, whatever matriarch is in charge of Walmart. Bitcoin reaches new all-time high. Can you imagine what crypto Twitter, the New York Times, I don't know, man, cable news, CNN, Joe Rogan, can you imagine what happens with the Michael Saylor bull post into 100K? When Michael Saylor gets on the tape and goes, I don't care, I'm still buying. They've been setting that up for a week. He did Lex Friedman. I don't know what the media schedule is. Kathy Wood is going to get involved. Novogratz from Galaxy Digital is next. That's a huge crypto hedge fund. That's like the Goldman Sachs of crypto, what is going to happen when these guys hit the tape and all these Wall Street firms have no crypto strategy? You are going to see FOMO into certain projects. I mean, literally this range, because see, I talked about the range for 8 months. We lived in the range in this group for 8 months. Now we're just coming out, but a lot of people are still living in the range. This market was down yesterday. At some point, people figure out that there's been a fundamental shift and that this is going to spread out. Like, we're just figuring that out. What's going to happen when they start broadcasting this to the outside world and everyone else figures that out? I mean, I know the market is up and I know you may get it, but no one got it yesterday. And I am just bull posting this, here, other places. I'm just like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. In many ways, it's exhausting. And in many ways, it's exhilarating because I'm like, oh my God, they're giving you a chance to get in. In 2017, in some of these other cycles, I mean, you had a very finite period of time before it just went vertical. Just went vertical, right? I mean, what is going to happen when the orange man takes his hand off the Bible at the inauguration and these guys actually have power to start doing things? Everyone's like, well, let's sell the fact. Is it? I don't know, man. They can start putting the plan into action. They're watching this too. Again, I don't know how seriously people are taking this. Phantom surpasses Google, become the #1 utility app on Apple. Okay, well, you got to be careful with euphoria on the meme side. That said, people are being onboarded now, right? If Pump.Fun is onboarding people, this eventually spreads out. And if the meme coin casino is the meme coin casino, Las Vegas is a huge place. And if this onboards people in, and if this gets kids involved, then let's do it, man. Let's do it. Right? Obviously, they are doing it. They're doing it. Right? Now, some people may look at this and go, this is a sign of a top. I mean, I saw somebody comment on my stream. Yesterday, the market was down. The guy goes, the top is in. Dude, the top is in. The rally is, 3 weeks old? The top is in. With everybody pouring in to Phantom and Solana. The top is not it. Now, some stuff corrected. Again, as I've said with meme coins and Phantom, we'll go over it. You can get 40% corrections. I was looking at a meme coin. You got a 70% correction. 70%. I like meme coins on 70% corrections because everybody gives up. And then if there's a catalyst, it turns. I actually did a meme coin personally, right? Boomer is trying his hand at it. Okay, we'll go over that later. Bitcoin miner Marathon Digital raises $1 billion to buy more Bitcoin. So again, as I have said, hedge funds hate the stocks. They were short them at the beginning of the year. Everybody is bearish. Everybody is negative. Everybody thinks these stocks can't go up and they're just going to go parabolic because they're going to borrow money and buy more Bitcoin. They're going to mine Bitcoin. They're not going to sell it. They're going to get leveraged Bitcoin because if Marathon is doing this, they're basically turning themselves into hedge funds. Bitcoin miners, because of the halving, they have to do something, right? They have to either become hedge funds, they have to become AI or energy companies where they can, use AI to figure out how they use all this energy that they both, consume and create. The heat coming off the machine is sellable power. I saw this at Consensus. It's unbelievable. All the Bitcoin miners at Consensus, talking their book, of course, all the representatives from Bitcoin miners at Consensus in April had 200K targets for Bitcoin. And then everybody walked out and sold and left it down there for 6 to 8 months, just like they left Bitcoin at 16K for 8 months, right? Back in 2022 and 2023. Everyone sees these headlines and just goes, oh, wow, that's nice. until MicroStrategy's coin is the most traded stock in the stock market. It's the top stock. It's got the top volume in the stock market as of yesterday. And then this stuff comes out and people are going to go, wow, there's a whole universe underneath MicroStrategy. Really? Change the name of this show to The Really Show. Really? Like ESPN in the old days. Come on, man. Really? It goes on and on and on. Okay. Who is the crypto czar is irrelevant. The crypto czar will probably be owned by the big crypto companies. But the simple fact of the matter is, even if that's true, they're still going to want Web3, right? And this idea that they need to create ongoing catalysts, because that's really what this is, right? It's news flow, right? It's like campaigns, right? We don't want to not have a news item for crypto because our popularity, Christmas shopping, the rollout for our administration is directly correlated to crypto and Bitcoin. So get it moving. Trump is an ETH guy. He did ETH NFTs in a bear market. A lot of people forget this, right? He did NFTs in a bear market and he sold them and it was effective. You realize how laughable this is? Like back in the day, you could have bought if you bought $4,000 worth of Trump NFTs, you got an entrance to a dinner with Trump where he came out and like gave a talk, and there was like a certain select people outside that could do Q&A and take a picture. Do you got any idea what a night and a dinner with Trump costs now? Can you imagine? Right? This guy did this in the bear market. Now it's in the bull market. And again, no one is talking about this, even though the news headlines are out there. They may be talking about it, but they're not traded. This brings up something that I often talk about it. It's like, okay, people are bullish. Are you buying dips? Are you long? Are you long the right stuff? Do you have confidence in your position? Right? So people are bullish. It's going up, but every time it goes down, do you back off? The people who are bullish, are they long? You may be long, but are other people long? Do you know what I'm saying? Like someone walks into crypto and goes, I don't know what to do. It's like, all right, well, look at a crypto mining stock. Look at the Bitcoin ETF. You know what I'm saying? There are starting points here. Look at the stock of Robinhood, Coinbase. I mean, there are starting points here for people who are new that you didn't have last cycle, right? Last cycle was like you had a FOMO into Bitcoin or you had a FOMO into ETH, and that was like your only onboarding. Now we have multiple forms of onboarding, and we have a country that just voted for this guy en masse. So how long do you think they're going to take to figure this out? How long is it going to take? I don't know, man. I don't know. Continuing jobless claims hit 3-year high. Right? So NFL has no issue with the dance. National Football League players of all race, creeds, and colors are doing the Trump dance when they score a touchdown. Be careful that this crypto thing does not become a cultural phenomenon. A cultural phenomenon like, I don't know, like these guys that just got elected. It's not quite that, but, they could become like the Beatles. They could become like rock stars. And if they do that, they can take crypto with it, in theory. Okay, let's see who else is here. All right, Desync, SEI. Let's go to Live TA, see what we got. Okay, here's Bitcoin on a 4-hour chart, trying to actually get back inside of a range. It's interesting, right? It's like, technically speaking, something bullish has not yet happened in Bitcoin. It's unbelievable. Okay, Arkham. Okay, so let's talk about this. This is very typical that you would have a head and shoulders bottom, right? And then it would go to its upside target. So on one hand, Arkham has already gotten to the upside target that it would have reached from the bottom. There is a floor underneath this at 205. I don't see any reason to give up on it at all. Okay. I'm sure people are disappointed that it hasn't done more, but the March high was $3. And if they can come up with something that's catchy on the tokenomics front, why would you dump something that's sitting on support? It has paid to have patience. SEI, which is a layer one, which I continue to explain to people that when you have layer ones, this is the infrastructure of the future of crypto. This is the rocket ship of the space race. So SEI has support underneath it. SEI is making this accumulation cone on Luxalgo. As far as I'm concerned, anything that's making this accumulation cone, right, can just explode. Right? I mean, what stops, this is not my favorite indicator, but what stops this from going like this? Especially if this thing was up here at $1 back in March. I mean, everything is going to take out its March high. Everything. Why wouldn't it? Right? I mean, these accumulation cones, we covered this yesterday. These things, like if you look at this type of chart and then you go back over to Ondo, right? Not Ondo, Ohm was the first one where this came out, right? Now, of course, this is benefiting fundamentally from people tokenizing treasury bills, but it's actually even hard to keep this whole thing on the screen at the same time, right? Luxalgo chart program makes these cones, and then when you explode through the cone, the market explodes. This comes from the work of a guy named Jesse Livermore. I've got it somewhere in PowerPoint, which I can turn around and bring back up. See how adept I am at going from PowerPoint. This is the accumulation cone in MicroStrategy. Jesse Livermore was the first one of the first, he was a trader in the 20s, and his notebook in many ways became the first TA textbook. You have these accumulation cones. He had a very specific formation for it, but when you break out at the top of the cone, you just go completely parabolic. He would have he would have two big parabolic moves, and then there would be a small move at the end. What stops this stuff? What stops it? I mean, stop it. It hasn't started. Right? Okay, yeah. Speaking of PowerPoint, I should probably go back to that because I had a couple things in there that I know people are interested in. Okay. Okay, there is Ski. So this is Ski Mask Dog. What do meme coins do? They retrace. I don't know. I had 40% and 70%. This did a 60% retracement from its high. They're probably going to come after all of this. All of it. I did MicroStrategy. They have, the stock is worth 100 billion. And as the stock was worth 100 billion, they dropped the meme coin. You have to do your own research. You have to be very careful with these things. But this is how I did my research. This is like an example. So the coin goes up, the stock goes up, Michael Saylor becomes like giga famous, but they smash this coin because it's on ETH, and supposedly they released something on Solana the other day that mooned. I call the project. I say, what about this? They go, that's fake. We're going to bridge our ETH token. We're going to have it on Solana as well. I go, well, that's interesting. So I actually talk to the people in Telegram, and then I go to this thing. This is like who's following their Twitter. Crypto Dog, who's like the OG crypto TA. I believe this is the guy from Zero Hedge, and I know that this is Mike Novogratz from Galaxy Digital. And that meme coin is actually listed on MEXC. It's already listed on a centralized exchange, I believe. I have to double check that. So, I mean, that's an example of doing meme coin research. Obviously, the Kaizen group has, research you can consume about these type of things. So, consume the research. Let me see what else we got going on here. We got ETH versus Bitcoin breaking out. We have ICP, which I continue to believe is a top long-term pick, right? All of these things, all of these coins, and everybody was talking about 2 years ago, 1 year ago. I mean, it just isn't going to stop. You got to get all your BitBoy videos out and start watching them again. This thing is at the bottom end of a range. It hasn't done a darn thing, and everybody is sitting around sleeping on it. This thing was trading at $20 back in March. It's currently trading. Share screen up. Failed my test. There we go. Okay, ICP. Again, here's your accumulation cone. Automatically drawn by Luxalgo. Down it goes. Okay. And then it's going to turn around and launch itself back to where it was in March. I mean, all the base coins, all the stuff that people are always looking at. Why would it not go back to where it was in March? People are like, oh my God, that's so far away. Oh my God. People, the FOMO in March, right? The FOMO was unbelievable. Right now, you have a reason to FOMO in. People are like, yeah, I'm not interested. This is what bull markets do. They talk you out. They push you out. They sell you out. They bore you. They dull your senses. And then, boom, it's gone. Then the next thing you know, Michael Saylor is at Mar-a-Lago. How long do you think that's going to take? Or how long do you think it's going to take any of these projects to announce that they're doing something cool? Or that they're doing something that builds something, right? Anybody who can come out with something compelling, anybody, these coins are going to take off. Now, again, the liquidity is all over on Solana, but the crypto hedge funds are currently doing their homework and saying, where can we get liquidity and where's the next big tech play? Like, we can't chase everything on pump.fun. So what are we going to do? Well, I don't know. We're probably going to do big memes and big coins that are unappreciated. So what has this done? Nothing. Is that frustrating? Yeah, it's frustrating because bull markets are hard, because people think that bull markets mean they don't have to earn their money. You actually, dude, you do. Now, of course, this is an example of like this example. I can't bring it up. I can't bring the chart up because the sort of the image of it is not polite, but somebody made a meme coin, right, called Quant, some young person, and the young person pulls money out of the meme coin, goes on social media, laughs at everyone for rugging it, and then crypto Twitter turns around and takes it back up again. Now, of course, again, this was, I didn't want to show that. This is the flavor of the day. But man, you got to be careful about the power of the market. That's what I wanted to demonstrate with that. The power of the market. All right. Desync. That's not desync. That's my face. Okay, so this is on the DEXs. This is the decentralized version. You know, again, with all these things, right? Step one, Lux Algo breakout from a pennant formation. Step two, Lux Algo insert support underneath it. It comes back down. It retests it. I assume we're talking about Destra here. You know, this thing's been trading in this box range for how long? It's just a giant consolidation formation. And then the thing that's really unbelievable is that recently in November, everyone gave up on the coin. This red on red, everyone gave up in July and everybody gave up in November, and boom, that's what happens when everyone gives up. It just goes straight up, right? Particularly if there's some kind of value proposition, right? Okay, people want a chart of SUI this morning, no doubt. So, you know, SUI's going to underperform. You know, but the thing about SUI that you got to remember is there's bad news. There's a 5-wave top, which could give you some pause, but SUI just broke out of one of these like big accumulation cone formation, and there's buyers at 335. So let me ask you just a simple question. What happens if SUI comes out with bad news and it doesn't go down? It doesn't go down, right? I mean, this says there should be some consolidation. You're getting consolidation, but I'm apparently not the only person who's looking at this. I'm on YouTube everywhere screaming about these formations. I can't be the only person who sees it. What happens if these coins start ignoring anything bearish? I mean, this is SUI on a weekly basis, right? So this is like the entire history of SUI. Now, if I drew this formation, think about this for a second. If I drew this formation and then told you it was a meme coin, would you buy it? Probably. You'd be like, oh man, that looks like a breakout to me. These things could be the rails that the internet runs on, folks. Could be the rails that the internet runs on. And everyone's looking at it. Well, it's just SUI. It's just hot. You know, like if you wanted to get a lot of views on YouTube, you'd be like, well, SUI is the next Solana. Yeah, it is, because the price action could be unbelievable. Solana like 10x'd. You know, SUI's done something like that, going from 50 cents to $4. Okay. But what happens if this becomes a phenomenon, and SEI and Aptos and Cardano and Avalanche and Phantom? What happens if the new hot thing leads the whole infrastructure of Web3 with it? Everyone is like looking at this in isolation, thinking it's just like the hot new shiny object. If you actually ask yourself, what is it? And are there any more of these things that can move like this? You know, layer twos, interoperability, cross-chain. There are huge components to the crypto market that followed Solana last time. They followed Solana last time, right? OLAS, Filecoin, Ocean. Gee, what's Ocean done? Nothing. Nothing. It hasn't done anything. And here's this like open mouth, like alligator mouth. It's called an expanding triangle. I mean, all this stuff that, you know, nobody thinks about, nobody talks about, it's everywhere. Ocean has got a lot of resistance, like just in front of $1 at like 90 cents. So I'm not going to lie to you. This has got some work to do, but this is a very strong bullish signal right here from Lux Algo. So they're after this stuff. They're after it. Right? And they're after OLAS too, I bet. These small cap AI plays, yeah, man, same thing. These small cap plays in the tech sector of crypto, you think you're not going to have AI, machine learning, DeepIn? You think all this stuff is not going to get traded? You got to be kidding me. There's going to be crypto hedge funds right now. Look at how this thing went down. I've talked about this before, right? Like, OLAS from a Lux Algo point of view, it's got 132% to get back to equilibrium. It's unbelievable. Okay. Yeah, DGen. Like how many social tokens are out there? DGen normally does better. Like DGen likes to rally when the rest of the market's going down for whatever reason. There's the big rally in DGen. Testing out our meme coin theory. We'll see if this still applies to DGen, right? Okay, so that's your 50% correction. Not exactly what we were looking for from like baby meme coins. But in grown-up coins, there's that other idea from last cycle that I learned on a stream with a guy named Oh Hey Matty, where if something goes down and holds the 62% retracement, like something a little bit more established, this is DGen on a 4-hour chart. I mean, do you realize the value proposition of a meme coin that's intertwined inside decentralized social media? And why would they build decentralized social media? Well, because they can. This has got a $250 million market cap. The sillier memes go up to $1 billion. If anybody finds a use for this, or normies on Coinbase start looking for things that are smaller cap, this is going to capture someone's attention. Okay, I got to wrap it up there. Folks, please think about what's really going on here, right? The dawn of crypto is at hand. If you have a position and you like it, or you're in this group and they have coins that they like, now is the time, right? Don't be the person who said, I didn't participate at all. Maybe you missed the 100X. These things happen. Don't let setbacks get you off track when crypto is literally the Apollo moon project, meaning the private sector wants it, government wants it, people who shop at Target need it, right? I mean, there are so many reasons for this to happen, and it's all going down right now as we speak. We'll see you tomorrow.